Hello, guys. Welcome back. Answer and some of them have been kind of about building other people's airplanes. And I wanted to kind of reiterate a few things about it because there are some things that I would want to do with it if I do. And it's a question. I have two people out there that actually want me to build them a couple jets. One, the F-104, which is it's a big airplane, and also the F-104. Okay, I can do it. Now, there is two ways that we can do this, and I think a lot of people have asked a lot about it because, for one, I love these airplanes, and I'd love to have every single one that Mears actually builds. So yeah, I would entertain a trade off for payment, and I would. It's kind of a hard question to really answer because there's a lot of time. The F-104 is an extremely involved build. It's got a lot of cool parts and it's got a lot of neat things going on with it, and I would love to have one. And I would build an F-104 done, possibly even primered, and ready for details and other things for somebody. But I think one of the big things is that it's an awful big, it's a big ass airplane. That thing's a monster. I would build it, and basically my thought is on any that I do build, if somebody was to actually contract me to do it, and you don't want to, it's a big thought. And I think one of the big things, guys, is that I would love to build your airplane on YouTube and actually send it wherever it needed to go. I would build it with the same care I did with the F-86 or the Spitfire or my Mustangs or anything. And I'm really going to have to ask about how many sheets it takes to build that damn thing, because it's huge. That thing is 3 meters long. Okay, that means in our neck of the woods, I don't have a shop big enough to build it right now. And it can be built in parts. It does come apart in 3 or 4 pieces, as I know. But I could do it. Let me talk to Damo, and he's built it. I can talk to Mears. I talk to him all the time. I'm in heavy thought here about this. I'd be very proud to build this airplane and get it out the door for you. And it's actually pretty exciting. But I would do it. My thought is that I would build it for the fact I want one. Probably going to get crucified by the wife for this, because of the fact is that I've got two little guys that are supposed to be spoiled by now. Yeah, my grandkids, they just done, and I got other things that need to go and get finished up, and I got a lot of work going on real airplanes. But yeah, I would do it, but I'll do it. But I would do it. You're gonna have to order not just one kit, you're gonna have to order two. And you will have to go through, and I got to find out how many sheets of balsa go up on that thing, because it's going to cost a little bit. 20 sheets. The last time I bought 20 sheets, I got them for about $40. And the F86 takes almost 100. So it's with everything done, by the time you make tanks and this and that and build everything out, you're looking at a tremendous amount of wood going out there. And it's 3:30 seconds as far as I know, but I need to call and ask a few people about this. I would do it, but that means that for me to build an F104 means you got to buy me a kit and the retracts. Not the wood. You got to buy the wood for yours in order to do it, and then I would do a trade agreement with that. And I'm sure that's a deal, and it'd be the same thing with the F104 and F100 would be the same deal. I'll do it so that I get the retracts and the kit along with the GTA hinges and whatever it takes, all the mechanisms and everything else to build it. Then I would do it for that. Stipulation is it's not going to get built in a couple months. It'll probably take it a year to get it done. And that's the one thing. There's no hurrying through any of these builds. And that is a monster of an airplane. It is going to be my next build, however, the F104. And I love big airplanes. Life's too short to have little ones. So it's just, I don't build anything under 100-inch wingspan. I love big airplanes. And so we're going to, as soon as the F86 is finished and actually painted and ready, because I'm going to compete with that airplane next year at Top Gun. Whether it places or not is not important. The point is I want it representing Mirrors over there and actually coming in and getting that done and having it look as real as I can possibly make it. And I could start framing up an F104. However, I'm going to run out of real estate very quick. And so I need some time to finish the project I'm doing. But if you do want the F104, then yes, I will build it, but it's going to cost you the complete kit for me to do it and the retracts. And I think that's more than a fair trade. Of course, the stipulation is that I need everything for the F104 when I build it. If you're going to get it, and that means you can buy it directly and ship it directly to me. I'll give you addresses, whatever you are. I will sign a contract with you. But the other thing is it needs to be built on my show. And the next show we do, guys, is going to be a different story altogether. This build series, the F86, was built very crudely on purpose. I started to do the show and was going to do it with a lot of production in this. I wrote a theme song for it, did all these other things and all that, did all this crazy editing and started doing that. But the more I started doing it, the more I didn't like it. And I wanted this to be the crudest video series anybody ever seen. Just a regular guy playing around in his basement or whatever, using a handsaw, sandpaper, and just glue that you can get it anywhere. I didn't build this to show off this great big professional shop, and that's the one thing. But if I build somebody else's airplane, that totally changes the game, because I did my series on the F86 to show everybody that anybody could build it and actually get away with doing the things that I'm doing and get good results, which we are. The airplane's beautiful. The main thing is, guys, as long as you're willing to do the handwork, the only things you need is a buttload of clamps. You need some tape, any kind, wherever you're at, whatever country you're in, 3M is available. Gorilla Glue is what I use by choice, and I use it because it's waterproof, and I've noticed it's actually pretty damn resilient to fuel and everything else. So these are things that are going on, and they're actually the little things that need to happen. And I think some of the big things was a lot of people have asked me about these things, and I would prefer, in all reality, is that people understand that you don't have to have all this money up front to do these things, because of the fact is there isn't nothing cheap about buying landing gear for these airplanes, and there's nothing cheap about buying a turbine. As a matter of fact, I've got an ad out there for a used turbine that I would like to find a 45-pound used turbine if anybody's got one, and trying to save a little money. If it needs to be rebuilt, I'll send it in and get it done. Um, Landing gear, I'm winging it. I actually shopped a lot of different things. And you know what? I used it in my Spitfire and it worked just fine. And the ProLink gear, it's great. And a lot of guys have asked me about it. And it's not very much money. Your controller for your sequencer for your doors and all that stuff is. It's a couple $100. But I found a lot of things and a lot of actuators for gear doors and stuff like that. Guys, I'm using servos, cheap ones, and trying to cut it. But for surfaces, I'm using HKS servos, and they're spendy. They're about $100 a piece, and you're going to need a lot of them. 8 of them. You're going to need 4 for the wings. You're going to need 3 in the empennage. You're going to need a strong one for your steering, and then you're going to need 2 for the gear doors and on the main one, and then well, 3 altogether. And then you're going to need, if you're doing the speed brakes, you're going to use 2 for that, and you're going to be using a lineal servo for the sliding canopy if you do. So we're going to be burning up a lot of channels on that. I wanted to bring up that there are a lot of different options available. Don't go cheap. And Bohitech, they're freaking awesome. That's what they're using in the F100. They use Electron gear in the F86, as well as many others, and they do have the links available. I have a hybrid landing gear in mine, and my main struts are made by Sierra Raytrax. They're the big quarter scale ones. They're actually the same struts that they're using for the P38. And the reason I did it is because they're 3/4 of an inch. They're very thick. And we did devise a way to get the rotating front gear. You're going to have to get some machining done to get the connecting pin on your turning pin to go, and that retaining pin is actually going to, the ears are going to get cut off of it, and it's going to have a post that actually bolts through it, and it goes all the way through it. And the reason for that is because that's your steering, and it also has the pivot. The bearing's already there. So it'll turn around for on its axis forever. And then the gear doors, of course, and everything else that are going in are just it's all time. And I'm going to be making those out of fiberglass and stuff like that. But the same thing is, I realize I'm getting off track on the F104, because the fact is the 104 is a totally different animal. And your drag links that you're going to be using are different. But talking about retracts, there's nothing cheap about them. And so you can't go cheap. I mean, I actually talked to ProLink about this, and their gear's rated for airplanes up to 70 pounds. So looking at a 55-pound airplane that I'll probably hit the ground pretty hard with once in a while, because guys, I love to fly. but I am not the greatest of pilots, so I need to make sure what I put in there is going to take the abuse, because I'll probably pound it pretty hard a few times. And I'm new to jets, so here's another thing I want you to consider. I've been building airplanes for over 40 years, but the F 86 is my first jet. And making that transition to jets is actually, I found to actually be a little bit less money because, guys, I put a DA 85 in my Spitfire, and then when I was getting ready to build a quarter scale F 190, which is what I was going to do before the F 86, by the time I got into that, the spinners, the propellers, the engine, and everything that went in there, good God, it costs more than what I've got in the 86 already. And so that and the landing gear is not, it's not cheap. And I don't like to build anything unless it looks like something. So another thing. And anyway, but yes, I'll build the airplane, but it's going to cost you the kit and the retracts. And it's like I said, I mean, it's totally up to the individual. And again, it's not going to happen anytime real soon because of the fact is I got to get the F-86 done and I want to compete. And I've got over 4 months worth of detailing to do to that thing. So we'll see in 6 months where it is. Message me back if you still want to do it, then we'll talk about it. But I do need to at least get the panel lines and everything done on the F-86. I still got a ton of crap to build, and I want to finish the F-86 series first before we start another airplane. And it's kind of fun. But anyway, a lot of guys have asked me about other airplanes I've owned. And how did I get started in this and everything else, and why I like big airplanes. And life's too short for little airplanes, guys. Just to me, they just aren't that much fun anymore. I started out building Gulos rubber powered airplanes that have been littering my mom's house for still to this day. And I still have a couple. And one of these days, whenever I get to Idaho, I'll show you the old arsenal of all the old airplanes, because mom never gets rid of anything that I ever did. And I still have a B-17 Gulos. I still have my first retractable gear airplane over there, which is a Corsair. A lot of guys have asked me what are good airplanes to go before we start tackling any of these big airplanes like we're doing. And guys, I can never say enough about Top Flight. I mean, you really want to cut your teeth on Warbirds, and really something that's really great. It's depending on what you want to do in the hobby. If you guys want to build something cool, P-47 is an excellent airplane. I built lots of them. I've had 3 Top Flight giant scale, you know, P-47s. I've had 2 Corsairs that were great flying airplanes. And I'll tell you what, guys, if you really want to know about doing compound curves, build that Corsair. That kit is so well laid out that it will teach you a lot of the errors in your way. It's about forming parts and this and that and the other, and using blocks properly and adding a lot of strength to your fuselages and stuff like that. You guys notice I added a lot of 1/4 inch by 5/8 stuff in a lot of my builds, especially my leading edge. It actually adds a tremendous amount of strength, and I laminate my edges. And the reason I do that is because I built lots of those. And going from there, I was able to build several Zeroli aircraft, which I highly recommend that you do. If you're going to scratch build one, the Zeroli is the way to go. And I mean that only because the fact is I've had nothing but 100% success with them. The Zeroli P-47, guys, if you really want to get cut in on a beautiful airplane, that Zeroli P-47 flies like a trainer. It's big, it's beautiful, gear's nice on it. Everything that you do on that airplane. My last one, I sold it to build the Spitfire. And I wish I hadn't have, because that airplane, you can fly it anywhere. It is beautiful, strong airplane. But I'll tell you what, if you really want to get into building technique, that P-47 is not the prettiest one I ever built. Matter of fact, I monocoated that one because I wasn't so sure about fiberglass resin yet and doing Z-epoxy, and wasn't willing to take a chance until I started watching some videos from Don Rice. And actually, Don Rice was a big influence before Bob Moore. Bob Moore, he's the guru. He made it foolproof. However, I like the method that I learned from Don Rice because it makes it easy for me. But I am the worst monocoat installer there is on the face of this planet. And that P-47, though it flies so freaking well, it's the ugliest thing you ever looked at. But it was my first attempt at scratch building, and I cut out every single part. So, and it took me a year to build that one too. And again, ugliest airplane I've ever seen, but flies great. The Spitfire, a lot of you guys know me on Facebook, and I've actually looked at that. That is actually how I entertained mirror sets. That's how I got into Mears RC. The P-47 was a turning point in my building career. After building several others and monocoating for years in this, believe it or not, guys, I've only fiberglass maybe 10 airplanes. And the Spitfire was the very first one I ever did, very first one I ever detailed out. And that's why I like the mirror sets. They're his detail sets. They're amazing. He'll make them for anything, just about. If he's got the drawing, he can do it. And now with mirror sets, we have several different models of airplanes available, and they're no end in sight. They're all good. And that guy builds them faster than anybody I've ever seen in my life. And he spends a lot of time there to endorse his product. He knows what that build, he knows how to make the revisions to any of those parts by his building. And if you look at Mears, he is a very talented engineer and builder in this and that. And a little secret is Diamano is actually designed a very large percent of the jets that you guys are seeing. So I get a lot of questions and stuff like that, a lot of PMs. So I'm just talking to you guys as it is. And I would strongly suggest that you guys build a few top flights, a few Zeroli, some Jerry Bates plans. Those are really good too, and get something that you're going to hang on to. It's not about taking them out and stacking them up. It's about building something, putting the time in, because you know you're going to have it forever in years. Things happen. And I've had a few people ask me about my Spitfire. Yes, I'm going to build another Zeroli Spitfire. And the reason being for it is because I really loved that build. My airplane was gorgeous. I loved it. I was going to Top Gun with that one. And 2.5 years in it, just so everybody knows, we had a wiring issue with a cadet heater that I had for heat installed, and the thermostat did not shut off, and it overheated and burned the building down. So I lost not just a Spitfire, I lost a Bearcat, that I lost 3 kits, I lost multiple amounts of plans of planes I was going to build. Probably 10 airplanes worth of stuff, plus all my radio gear and everything else. So as a lot of asked of how did you come to this build series? I wanted to show that building an F-86 and how precise these kits were can be done with minimal tools, minimum expenses. I could go buy a drill press. I have money. I could go do that. I could go buy belt sanders. I could go buy anything it was. But the average guy that's in another country is not going to be able to go up there and get that. And I wanted to show you that can be done with homemade sanding blocks, automotive grade materials like sandpapers and this and that, and everything else we could possibly do. And that's why we're building the F-86 the way we're doing it. Harbor Freight, baby. It's the way to roll. And you can save a lot of money doing that. And files and all that stuff, every bit of this stuff is bought. None of the tools I got are over 20 bucks. And once you start building, if you get to where you're building for other people, then that has to change because you are going to be building precision for somebody else. And that's the way that needs to be. And sitting there without the power assisted tools is going to string your build out so far and long, you're just going to frustrate everybody. So my main thing here is that this F-86 I could have built in half the time if I had a big shop. True story. But I didn't want to do it that way. I wanted to build the F-86 in spare time, not putting 8 hours a day into this thing, guys. I only put some of the parts. Yeah, I spend 2 or 3 days in my spare time building them, and then I show you what I've done. It looks fast, but really it's not. So if you do have a big shop and you can afford all these things, by all means do it. But for me, I am catering to the little guy that doesn't have a big budget for a lot of tools. And I could do it. And the next one, we absolutely will do that. So I could probably build and frame the F-100 up in a matter of a week and have it glued and start sheeting it. If I put 8 hours a day into it, I could probably have that thing probably done and sheeted in probably a month. The F-100, providing they harvest enough trees to get it sheeted and done, we'll see how long that one takes. It's a lot of work. But anyway, guys, I'll leave you with this. Again, we'll see you in the funny papers. Thank you so much for watching and this and that, and hope that answers a lot of questions. I hope I didn't sound like I was rambling on too much. I got an uncle that passed away this morning and kind of not as sharp as I should be. Those that are here and they're just we're moving forward, and I hope everybody's well. And until then, we'll see you in the funny papers, and we'll hopefully make do on everything else that's going on. Anyway, thanks.